Genesis 3:14. In the prior couple of verses, we saw how the Lord God has asked a question of Adam. He asked a question of the woman Eve, and now he is going to address the serpent. Ke epen kyrios ha theos to ophe, hati epoiesas tuta epikataratas su, apo panton ton katenon, kai apo panton ton therion tes geis. We'll finish up the verse here in just a second. We begin, as we've seen numerous times, with the third singular aorist of lego. Someone speaks. Who is it? Kyrios ha theos, the Lord God. Again, as we've seen numerous times, translating Yahweh Elohim, this covenantal identity of the Lord God. So he speaks to Ophe, and this is, as we've seen numerous times, this is from Ophis, which is the serpent. So notice that God doesn't actually ask him a question, as we'll see. He just directly pronounces the judgment. And it begins with hati here. This would be something like because, not so much that, but because. It's pronouncing a result, a consequence. Because of what? Well, epoiesas here. You see the as ending with the sigma aspect infix and the epsilon there. This tells us a third singular aorist active indicative from poieo. Because you did this. And that refers back to verse 13. And it's interesting, Eve had claimed that the serpent deceived her and caused her to eat the fruit. And God doesn't question that accusation. That is indeed true. And so he now is pronouncing the result of what Satan has done. And the big declaration here is that he is epikataratas su. You are accursed. Epikataratas means to be cursed. The Hebrew here is arur. And this is the first major curse here in the Genesis 3 sequence. Very importantly, God is going to curse Satan, or the serpent here. He's not actually going to pronounce a curse on the man or the woman. He will curse the ground, but there will, of course, be negative implications for the man and the woman as well. So you are accursed. And next we have apo panton, from, or from among all of the katenon. And we've seen this word ages ago back in the earlier chapters of Genesis. Katenos, this is referring to the sort of livestock, or perhaps the domesticated animals, and also apapanton, see that repeated, among all of the therion. And this would be more like the wild animals, the beasts of the field. And Satan is cursed from among all of those, both the domesticated animals and the wild animals, tes geis of the earth. So he is maximally cursed, or from among all of these creatures. Let me just mention one quick thing. Why is he punished in this way? Why is the serpent punished in this way? Well, we had learned in Genesis 3:1 that he was the wisest of panton ton therion. So you see that panton ton therion, and then that's among all of the animals or beasts of the earth. You see the tes geis again. So Genesis 3:14 is calling back to the fact that the serpent was the wisest among all of these beasts of the earth, and therefore he is going to be maximally cursed among or above all of them as well. Well, let's finish out the verse. Well-known consequence here, epito stathesu, kai te koilia peruse, kai gain phage passas te sameras te zoes su. So what's the final punishment here on the serpent? Before we get to 3:15 in the next video, he is going to be upon the stathe. This is from stathos, which basically means stomach, something along those lines. And also koilia, which means belly or abdomen. And what's interesting is that we have two here in the Greek rendering. There's only one in the Masoretic text, and that may be more familiar, but for whatever reason, the translator here repeats it, but it's a synonym. So woodenly, we would say, upon your stomach and your belly, peruse. This would be a second singular future middle indicative from peruomai. You see that eta iota subscript ending there. So you will go, although the Hebrew actually says walk, which is quite interesting, but you will go upon your stomach and upon your belly. And then what else will you do? Gain, you will phage. Phage here is from estheo. It's a second singular future middle indicative again. And we've seen that spelling change from estheo to that phag root. So you will eat, gain, earth. Now the underlying Hebrew is dust, and typically we would see dust translated with chun, but in this case, for whatever reason, the translator has picked gain here, perhaps to match the use of that word earth elsewhere, not only in this verse, but in prior verses. So you will eat earth, if you will, or you could maybe render that dust, I suppose. Pasas tas hemeras there, all of the days, te zoesu, of your life. And so the curse upon Satan is that he will eat the dirt down beneath. And so that is Genesis 3:14.